Hello, everyone. I'm Ron Soto, Chairman of the Board of Directors of Housing Choices. Welcome and thank you for joining us to recognize Housing Choices' 25 years of service. This would not have been possible without our communities, funders, donor support, and of course, the professional and caring work of our Housing Choices staff. We hope, after viewing our video, you will have an added perspective and value of Housing Choices' mission and the work conducted on a daily basis for individuals and families. On behalf of the Board of Directors, we ask that you consider how can you join our work, whether it be through board membership, volunteering on a committee, advocacy support, and or making a donation. Your annual donations are important to us, not only from a monetary perspective, but also from a sign of support for our client services. Please go to our website address below, hit on the donation tab, and contribute what you can. Any donation of any size would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for joining us and your support now and in the future. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Denise Jauregui, Executive Director of Housing Choices. On behalf of our board and staff, I would like to welcome you to our 25th anniversary virtual celebration. Thank you for joining us. Today we would like to share with you testimonies of our staff, clients, and the families we serve to provide you a glimpse of our services and the positive impacts on the lives of the people we serve by providing quality, supportive, and affordable housing opportunities for people with developmental disabilities. We would also like to thank our funders and event sponsors, as we wouldn't be able to provide and continue the work that we do. With that said, welcome to our event and thank you for joining us.
I think the first question I would ask you is how do you like living here?
I love it. That I am. I'm really blessed. Yes. So my name is Shireen Alinani, and title is I'm the manager for the Homeless Case Management Program and the manager for the Homelessness Prevention Systems. So I've been with Housing Choices for 3.5 years. I started as a housing coordinator, and then I served as a senior housing coordinator, and then I became a manager. I managed the San Mateo County for some time. Over there, I worked for the vouchers for Move to Work voucher program. The pandemic happened, and during the pandemic, I joined the HPS network. I got trained for HPS, and I took care of all these different programs. And I've been taking care of the CMH program ever since. I mostly work with at-risk clients who may be behind on the rent, who may have received a 3-day notice or an eviction notice for the non-payment of rent, or they may have an eviction notice for non-compliance. Any kind of at-risk where a client is at risk of losing housing, that comes under my domain. So that's my CMH program. The second program that I work with is called HPS, which stands for Homelessness Prevention Systems, where basically we work with the county. It's a collaboration of 20 different nonprofits where we help clients apply for rental assistance and financial assistance. It's a short-term rental assistance program where we help families apply for financial assistance, where the financial assistance could help them stabilize their housing. It provides them the cushion that financial assistance could help them temporarily to get back on their feet so they don't lose their housing during that period of time.
So I am a homeless case manager. I basically help families that are at risk of being homeless or basically facing homelessness find housing out here in the San Jose area. I have a client who's been here for a few years already. She's on and off the spectrum, and it's really hard for her to stay stabilized in a home. And she relies on us heavily because she knows that she can jeopardize her housing, but in the end, she really tries to do her part as well, and work on her work ethic, work on her mental health, basically use us to her benefit. So I'm really passionate with her. I think I've gotten to know her a lot over these last few months that I've been here. She's really awesome, and I'm just trying to work on getting her income up there so we can get her a new home and hopefully a lifelong plan for her.
One of my favorite success stories to share with the public is one of my clients has been with us for at least 7 years. He really wanted to be independent. He wanted a studio, a 1-bedroom by himself. Unfortunately, his primary caregiver, which was his mom, unfortunately was not on the same page as him. So I had to talk to mom, talk to caregivers, and convince them that the client was going to be independently successful on his own. I was able to convince the regional center to also get ILS and SLS services for my client, and now he lives in his own studio. He's independent with support staff 24/7, so he is taken care of.
How do you feel that the managers help you with your daily living?
Oh, I know everything to be handled, because if I had a problem, they're right on top of it. All my needs and everything, they're on top of everything.
During grassroots grants, we awarded 100 grants totaling $100,000 to families affected by the pandemic, and this rental relief continued between June 2020 to September 2020. So this was our second phase after the grassroots grants. It was known as SEP, COVID Emergency Homelessness Prevention Program. During this phase, Housing Choices processed $300,000 in emergency rental and financial assistance to 75 families between October 2020 and February 2021. HPSCV was a third phase during COVID, and we assisted 92 extremely low-income families. In total, we distributed $800,000 in rental assistance and $88,000 in financial assistance.
Can you tell me what is the HPS network?
It's a county-wide network of 20 nonprofit agencies who have come together. During the pandemic, they identified the households that were at risk of being homeless. They were behind on the rent. They were struggling to pay the rent or utilities. The network helped them pay the rent and made sure that they were stably housed in their current dwelling. So this program managed to attain 3 key domains during the pandemic. The very first thing that we achieved during the pandemic was that during the peak of the spread of the virus, because people were provided the rental assistance, it made sure that people stayed home. And just the fact that they stayed home, they quarantined because they didn't have to go out and look for the jobs. And it automatically helped lower the spread of the virus.
This is the living room, and that's the kitchen.
And what would you like to cook? Do you want to show off the kitchen for us?
I don't cook.
Oh, you don't cook? Okay.
She bakes though.
Oh.
I bake.
That's my mixer.
And what do you like to bake?
Cakes.
Cake? What kind of cakes?
Red velvet.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's hard to do, no?
No, it's easy. Oh yeah, this is his standard. He stands on it. He sits and then I just and he eventually stands. These are my back brace. I put it on because he's getting heavy. I put him on in here for an hour on the weekends, and these are his braces that he wears every day. Well, when he gets on the stand, he has to wear it. And then this is his floor area, and then he has this mat, and then I just put it, and he likes to have floor time. His toys, and I just this is my big bean bag, and his TV. He likes watching. Cocomelon, Barney, Annabelle.
How did you find out about Housing Choices?
Through management.
And then how did Housing Choices help you?
They helped me with San Andreas. They helped me with any reasonable kind of accommodations for my son, for my special needs son. Any paperwork that I was confused on, whether it's doctor's form or the recertification, they always help me, and they always check my work paperwork, and they always make sure it's right, and they help. That I need a lot of help on that one, because filling anything paperwork like that, you still have to get a second look on. So they have helped me tremendously on that.
Yeah. And then where do you think you would be without Housing Choices?
Probably in a more expensive apartment without Housing Choices help. They bettered my situation. I feel more confident, more, I have a team behind me, and I'm not alone. Housing Choices helped me in many different ways, and I don't, I trust them. They help me with a lot, and I don't know what I would do without them, because I feel confident, I feel safe. If there's any problem, I go to them, and they're there.
And then where do you see yourself in the future?
In a bigger apartment, with the help of Housing Choices, because that's what they're working on right now as we speak. We're trying to get a 3-bedroom, and they're working on getting a 3-bedroom, but it's going to take time, but they're on it. I just run my errands, and my son goes to daycare, and we love it here. We love it here. Housing Choices has helped us a lot. If there's any problems, we go to Housing Choices, and they figure it out, and we deal with the solution, and they're on it.
So, for example, we have a client from the regional center. It's the client and a younger brother and mom and dad living at one of the low-income properties, Sherman Palms by Mid-Penn Housing. The mom stayed home taking care of the 2 children, and the only source of income was the dad. Unfortunately, during December 2020, the entire family came down with the virus. Their only source of income at that point was the SSI that the family was receiving. It became very difficult for the family to pay for the rent and the utilities and food, and especially during the cold winters. And that's when the family reached out to us that they needed rental assistance. And thanks to the HPS program, we applied for a few months of rent for them. They stayed home, they recovered from the virus. Now, recently, when we reached out, the mom said both the parents and the children, everybody is fully recovered. Kids are back to school, mom is back to work, dad is also working. Everybody is stably housed, and the family is doing well. That being said, we have a lot of such families where the families were able to stay home safe and they're stably housed. They just needed that temporary cushion during the pandemic where they could be safe in their household, they could be stable. They didn't have to worry about, especially the families who are living paycheck to paycheck, where they didn't have to worry about where the next meal is going to come from or how are we going to pay for the next PG&E bill. So this assistance was a lifeline for a lot of our low-income families. And just the fact that with the help of this assistance, this temporary assistance, allowed these families to stay afloat during that time of need, allowed them to be back to normal after that time of difficulty was over. A lot of the times, poverty and homelessness is cyclical. People just get into that cycle and it's difficult for them to come out of it. And a lot of the times it's about making sure that people don't get in that cycle. And it's about making sure that people don't fall through the cracks. And this COVID rent relief in many cases has played that role for a lot of our low-income families, where it has made sure that people don't fall in that cycle of poverty and in that cycle of homelessness.
My name is Jennifer Klozowski. I'm 50 years old and I live at 4th Street Apartments.
At your old place, how was it living there, or what was your biggest complaint living there?
Well, they had like 6 apartments and it was a 2-level building run by that company. They had upstairs and I didn't like going upstairs because we sometimes had classes. They had classes in their facility in order to live at their facility, and I got moved into 2 different facilities, apartments in their building. I lived in a 2-bedroom first with my own bathroom, so I didn't really have to go out unless for class, and then I got moved to their 2nd floor, which I didn't like, and I had difficulties with having roommates. We used to argue about menial things, and I have a temper, and I would get out of hand. So I only lived there 3.5 years compared to living 4th Street since 2009, and I really like it there. A lot of nice neighborhood. We recently got a new manager, and she's great. She's done a lot of new changes in the building, and my RC, which my resident, if I have a problem, then I go to her first, and then if I have another problem, like with anything in the building related, I'll go to the manager. I'll call or email. Well, I like it better here because of the convenience of the light rail, because I like to take the light rail and go out to shopping or a mall or something to get some exercise. Even though I don't do it a lot, I need to do it, and I don't want to sit and binge watch TV all the time.
And now, since you moved here, what's the best thing that you love while living here?
Just getting to know people, knowing my neighbors, So.
You live by yourself?
Yes, I live by myself. I can't do roommates. So, no, I've done that in the past.
And now that you live by yourself, what do you like the most about it?
Quiet. I can do things that I want to do when I want to do it. The only time I have to answer is to the managers or my resident coordinator. Otherwise, I don't have any problems. I don't cause problems. So I stay to myself. More of a hermit, or you would homebody type of person, unless I want to go out.
As a housing coordinator, our job and our duty is to find apartments in Santa Clara County or wherever the client wants to live in. Once that apartment is found, we do help with the application process. We even take it a step further by helping with the application, such as the interview. Sometimes we do help clients with language barriers. Sometimes they do not know English or little English, so we do help with the language translation from English to Spanish, Spanish to English. So I was able to do that for the client and for their family.
Yeah, because I feel like, regardless, like, home is a framework. Like, home is your safe place, and it's like, I can only imagine how many clients don't feel that way, and that's why, they probably feel so disrupted in their life, like, they don't have things together, and that's where frustrations arise and why they're portrayed to us. But like I said, you have to have that extra compassion and patience to work with these clients, and a lot of it is they're scared to ask for help. For example, like my client, like, she was already like older, she's scared to ask for help because sometimes they think that we should know these things, but it's like, we're humans. We constantly evolve, we constantly learn, so it's okay to ask for help. I feel that Housing Choices is making an impact to the community because we provide that extra compassion and patience. It's like I said, it's so easy to get, wrapped up in the rules, like rules to resources is what I call it, because I mean, there are resources available, but there's not enough. So I feel like with Housing Choices, we have that extra, we have that extra push, we have that extra assistance that's there to help them. And if it goes as far as to explaining the services, explaining the resources, like showing them how to apply, I believe that we're always making an impact, whatever it is, because let's say it might not be housing related, we still educated somebody on something that they didn't know of in the first place. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm Robert Lopez. Housing Choices helps me with, making sure everything's in working order for me. The repairs are done, and I recently got linoleum in my unit, and that was kind of a good feeling. And I have some neighbors that I talk to, and mostly try to talk to Housing Choices staff, and since the pandemic, I've been on Zoom and do my classes and enjoy Zoom, but after a while it gets tiring, and I love to go out and have fun, and I don't go to very many places because of the pandemic, and I like Housing Choices because they help me out, and when I need something, they help me. I'm in the process of going through some housing stuff because there's not a lot of housing for people with disabilities and accommodations, and it's very, very difficult to find affordable housing. You have to write a letter to your council or to the legislatures and write a letter. I haven't wrote a letter ever since, and I gotta get working on that. That's one of my goals, to do that.
I feel like my work has impacted the community by seeing things in a different way. I think as people, we get so caught up in our own lives and forget, other people live a completely different lifestyle than like what we have. And it's always nice because I feel, like with this job in this field, there's a lot of clients that remind me of, that I can be in a different like scenario. Like we don't get to choose like the family that we are born in or grew up in. So I think it's important that, realizing that, like taking a step away, and just acknowledging that creates room for like compassion and patience. And I think it's important to have, because if you don't have patience or compassion, it's kind of like, what are you really like doing like the work for? Because you need to understand, clients and applicants like on a personal and, like mental level, just because, you have to know, like, you can't sit there in like their situation and say you know how they feel, but you're there to like listen and understand. And I feel like once you get an understanding, it's like you can't take things so personally, whether the way they react because it isn't an outcome that they want. I think it's very important, I guess, just to establish that at first, just to like always remind yourself that, you know, people are in different situations than, you know, you are. And I think here, like with this, you know, program, this agency, like that's where we have to step away from. And I think just, I guess, like portraying that and like establishing like the framework with your client is gonna set like the bar for like what you want to achieve with them, whether it be securing housing, rental assistance, and things like that.
I live with my parents in East Side, San Jose. Lived there most of my life, and I applied for Housing Choices, and I waited for a couple of years, and they found this place, and I decided to just have them here.
And how easy was it to work with Housing Choices?
It's pretty easy. I just give them a call, and most of the one over here, I just she helps me, and she always checks up on me as well. Just trying to make sure my life is better. I'm living good. Anything, you know, I tell her anything going on, anything's troubling me. Yeah, it helps.
Housing Choices takes a lot of pride in working with clients with disabilities, intellectual, physical, and developmental. A lot of the times when our clients have disabilities, they may not be able to advocate for their own needs. During the pandemic, the way the program was set up, where clients had to submit these applications online. It was straightforward, but at the same time, it was slightly difficult where the clients have to be technically savvy. For example, the staff was trained for the federal case management tool, Neighborly, and then our staff was trained for the state management tool called Uncork, and then we were also trained for the local system called HMIS and Salesforce. So our staff is trained to manage 4 different data management tools, and then our staff would manage between those 4 systems and make sure the client needs were met. They would make sure the clients were qualified. They would make sure their income was verified. They would make sure their bank statements were verified. They would make sure all the needed documents were uploaded in the system. And then we had 2 different segments. We had a section for the client and we had a section for the landlord. So our staff would actually make sure that the client data was uploaded on the client side and the landlord data was uploaded on the landlord side. A lot of the times when people are trying to work with technology, they may not be able to do the things with a lot of precision and with accuracy. This is where our staff did an amazing job. And they made sure once the application was submitted, they would follow up in a timely manner. They would make sure whenever the staff would call with a lot of anxiety, oh, I haven't received my rent, oh, my landlord is harassing me. Or, you know, when they have a 3-day notice, the staff would make sure they will connect them to the Law Foundation or to Project Sentinel or to the Bay Area Legal Aid. They would make sure somebody was there to hold their hands and to walk them through the process. So that was another thing that, because of this partnership, a lot of the nonprofits and their expertise came together. Whoever was specializing in domestic violence, or whoever was specializing in youth services or in disabilities, or whatever their special domain or areas were, they all came together to serve the community in the difficult times. And it just did amazing work, and they made sure that the federal assistance was distributed in the most efficient, in the most effective manner to the people who really needed it the most.
This is one of my recipes that I made. It's the cheddar stuffed meatloaf. It's this one right here. And then my favorite food is Mexican, Italian, Chinese. I just like different kind of food, like food groups. So I usually eat that. Me and my roommate has 2 different areas that we share. One is his, one is mine. And then up here is our frozen stuff that we share. I make my own smoothies. I have my own blender right up here called Magic Bullet. I've been here since the year of 2009 in June, and I like living here. I work at Sonados Market over by the Rose Garden. Been there for over 16 years. My teacher from De Anza College got me the job there. I got to learn how to go surfing with a famous movie actor. And then right up here are my shark stuff. And right here, I actually have a picture frame of Arnold that wrote to me.
Wow.
Even if you turn right here, this is Joe Montana. It was a cutout from my work.
How do you feel about being by yourself and being able to support yourself?
It's a challenge because I have to learn how to take public transit and getting to work on time.
So for example, we have a client staying at one of our partner properties called the 4th Street. She's an adult client and her mom works as a cleaner. They've been living there for a very long time. They've never needed any financial or rental assistance, but during the pandemic, the mother lost her job. Client receives SSI, but her SSI was not enough to cover the rent. And they came to us and asked for assistance. During SEP, we helped them with 1 month's rent, but again, they came back during the HPSCV round because the mother was still not back to work, and we helped them with multiple months of rent. That's how it helped them stay afloat until the mom went back to work. Such examples gives us a lot of hope because the mother, 4th Street is a senior property and the client is also an adult client. This is an extremely low-income family, and the adult has disabilities. The mother is a senior working as a cleaner. These are really the people who needed the assistance, and it was only because of this partnership that it was made possible, where the assistance could have been possible to get to these people.
And this is why I entertain my friends. And my kitchen is over here, behind you. It's like cooking here and all that. I like to cook Italian food. I've lived here since 2013.
How did you find this space?
Well, Housing Choices, I think. They helped me get the apartment, right? And let me just show you the 2 bedrooms. It's a 2-bedroom.
I love at Housing Choices because I love what I'm doing. I feel blessed to be part of this community. And it has been amazing 3.5 years, and I feel extremely fortunate to be here and doing what I'm doing. And it has just been an amazing journey. And Housing Choices is making a difference because client is always the beneficiary. Anything and everything that we do is client-centered. And it's always for the client and will always be for the client.